What's up? Welcome to my next video on drawing dynamic poses. And I'm going to be drawing, I think, one for shortened pose, but all the poses are dynamic, so it wouldn't really make a difference. So for this one, I used Pinterest for all my pictures. And for this one, I chose a picture of a lady kind of doing a little handstand. And for this, I decided to start with the torso and waist first because it was easy for me to kind of get the pose and work it out this way. So I drew into two circles, one oval shape for the body and kind of like a half circle for the waist. And I'm kind of working my way around that. And also for the head, I kind of did more of a boxier shape because her head is straight but kind of at an angle, and it's hard to kind of figure that out unless I draw it that way. And sometimes if you see some of my poses, you'll see me draw some of the figures' heads with the boxes rather than the circles, depending on the positioning or the perspective that the person or the character is in. And so right now I'm detailing it and adding in all the basic shapes for me to kind of get the gist of figuring out how the body's positioned, as far as like the rib cage and the cylinders for the arms, the circles for the shoulders, like the typical way I do poses normally. So right now I'm adding in the cylinders for the arm, circle for the elbow, cylinder for the forearm. And usually, well, for the basis of the video, I have it pretty stationary. But normally, if I was doing a pose like this, if I was drawing it, even in a more taking a more serious approach to it rather than this way, I would be rotating the picture. But for demonstration purposes, I kind of just left it stationary like this. And even now, if you're just practicing, you can kind of just do it any kind of way you want. And I'm playing around with it. The pose doesn't have to be exact. You're messing around. You're having fun with it. So right now I'm adding in I add the fingers in, working with the shoulder to the top, adding the cylinder for the top of the arm, circle for the elbow, the cylinder for the forearm. And like I said, you can always use gestures for doing this too. Gestures are always good for doing quick poses, and I like to do them sometimes also. But for me, it's easier for me to figure out the positioning of the body when I'm using shapes rather than the gesture. Gestures kind of it's a little messy, and depending on what your eyes can see, you can kind of figure out what's going on when you're doing gesture poses. And I may do some gestures in some future videos that just kind of show you the difference between the gestures and using shapes. And there are some clean gestures that you can also do, but my gestures are pretty messy depending on what I'm doing with it, especially if I'm having multiple figures on the page. I'm adding in the little fingers, adding in little cylinders, and since the hand is pretty small, I'm kind of just roughing in the lines for the position of where the fingers are going to rotate. Darkening it up, adding in the circle for the knee. You have to kind of think of the shapes as like a 3D object to kind of know where to place it. So it's better to have a good understanding of drawing these shapes in 3D. That way you can easily be able to position them better for creating the pose. Adding in the foot. And it's always good to study poses from life drawings and different cartoons and things that other artists create. That way you have a better understanding of the poses, and it kind of like your brain is getting a vocabulary of these poses in your head, because there's no way you can do these poses out of your head without drawing them first. because your mind can't draw something you've never seen before. Like you have to see it in order to know how to draw it. So it's like if I was to draw this out of my head, I wouldn't really know where to go with it because it's you would have to know where the arm will rotate, um, where it stretches, where legs will go, different things like that. And the more you draw poses, the more it's easy to figure out, and then you can create your own poses because you already know how these bodies move and what positions that they will go to. So right now with this image, I chose kind of a more foreshortened look and a weird perspective. So I have the leg is the more um, dominant part of the figure. So just like the last one, I work my body first, the torso, and the waist, and then I kind of work my way up to the head. And you can do the head first if you want. I just chose to do it this way for certain poses, and even when you do it this way, you can always, if you try to figure out, if the head's too small or head's too big, you can easily. I mean, this is only a rough. This is not the final product of whatever pose you're trying to make. You can easily just go back and erase to lighten the whole thing and detail it into whatever character that you were going to use for it. I mean, you can take this guy and turn it into um, some other character. You can have um, Baki or Goku sitting in that position, laid back. Even though I doubt you'll see them in that particular pose, but it just shows what you can do with it. Now I'm just adding in the leg with the kneecap, the circle. And I'm roughing in the head. And even before I got to the head, I could have just did the whole body first. I could have did the entire body and then did the head last. Wouldn't make a difference. I mean, I'm not detailing the head, so there's no point to focus on the head if you're not really adding details to it right away. See, his head's tilted up, so I made that box into a 3D space to know where the head is positioned and how it's angled. So I'm adding in the bottom of the leg, circle for the knee, and the cylinders for the arms. Cylinders for the forearm, the hand. Didn't do too focus on detail of the hand. It's just like a rough sketch, just getting it in, getting some rough pose practice. It's kind of like a warm up before you start doing the real thing. And it's always good to practice poses. I mean, especially if you're wanting to plan to draw figures and things like that. Because a lot of drawings you'll see artists starting out and they're drawing stationary things or headshots and stuff like that, which is good, but you want to draw a lot of poses and just do little headshots here and there, but mostly poses. That way you can kind of be ready for when it's time to draw the full body. Then you'll know what to do rather than just making just a simple headshot, which is still cool to look at, but you don't want that to be the only thing that you know how to do. Just darkening everything up, finalize it. I guess I could have raised the leg a little bit more, but I'm still fine with it. Not really getting too serious with it. I just wanted to make just throw it out there. No reason to get serious with the poses. You just draw it. Make changes later. I'm just darkening everything up. adding in, filling in some of the 3D space of that box head. Now here's a walking pose, and I know one of you have requested to do me one of these, so it's okay. I'll add this in there. Now with this, I did the head first, only because with these type of poses in perspective, especially when it's um, angled down like that, I like to start with the head first and have the head in the 3D space, and then I start to work the body, work all the way down to the legs. So I already have my head down, so I know where the head is positioned. And in a way, sometimes when you do the head that way, especially when it's in the box form and you're at a certain angle, sometimes the head will basically tell you what perspective that you're going to draw in because of how it is. You see the head is pointing down, so you'll know how to place the rest of the body in perspective. And this is like a 2-point perspective. And the head is basically a cheat guide to telling you, how to put it in perspective. Now, if I would have done, if I would have did the circle for a head, it still would have worked, but for me, it'd still be easy to figure out. 'Cause I've done plenty of poses in perspective, top down view with people walking fine, but I like to do it with the box shape for the head. I'm adding in the leg. Bottom of the legs. This is getting a little smaller. As soon as you get to the bottom, adding in the foot. And the other leg, the leg in the back is kind of hidden because he's like tapping one foot is back, so you can't see it. You can't see it that good. With his hands in his pocket. The other arm is kind of hidden too. So you got that like kind of down in the back. Get the hand darkening that little area up. Now for this one, originally I was just gonna do the top pose, but I decided to just go ahead and throw the second guy in there. And you see me make those lines. I kind of made the line at an angle to see, to kind of get a gist of where to place the other figure. And you see that I did the box shape again and have his head kind of looking up. I have his head looking a little higher up from the image, but still, I stuck with it. This doesn't, not trying to get too crazy with it. So I would just easily just erase it and angle the head down a little bit. But I said, let me change out and know how I'm looking up. Maybe he's looking up at him or something. I don't know. So I have his head tilted. Working my way down, same as before. It's like having two people in one shot. Getting into the torso. Trying to figure out what the line's gonna go. It's in perspective. That's why you have one area of the torso is a little longer than the other because of the way the perspective is. The waist, line for the chest. Don't have to add a line for the chest, but I like to add that just to know where the um, how the body is in the 3D space. As far as, if I was to add clothing and things to him, I'll know how to put that around him. Because I can add those lines, the same line that I have for his chest. I can add that all around his whole body. I can put that on the legs and the arms, and it's kind of like it's showing you how everything um, goes around or overlaps when you start to add different objects or clothing, and especially how to see where things will go or move when it wrinkles on the clothing based on tension and relaxation of the arm. And in the other hand, leg. Working way all the way down. And his leg is kind of like his leg is kind of bent in the reference picture, but that's his leg going back. So you draw how to see it. It looks weird, but if that's how it looks, or that's how it's supposed to look, then that's how it's supposed to look. Get the other arm. Next part of the torso and the leg. But if you like what you see, you want to see more videos like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and take care.